Have you ever wondered what contract negotiations are like behind the scenes in Formula One? Those moments when a driver has to sit down face-to-face with the team boss to discuss their future, salary, or even their place in the series. Well, what many don't know is that, behind the million-dollar deals and the smiles at press conferences, there's a real psychological game going on. And the one who revealed this was none other than 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg. In a recent interview, Rosberg opened up about how Toto Wolff, the Mercedes boss, uses negotiating tactics that he himself described as unpleasant. And most shockingly, he issued this warning right now, when George Russell's contract with the team has yet to be renewed beyond 2025. What could be going on behind the scenes at Mercedes? So stay until the end of the video to understand this controversy. Like and subscribe to the channel. Nico Rosberg chose the right moment. In late July, after the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, he gave a revealing interview to Sky Sports F1. He highlighted a blunt statement by George Russell, who stated with certainty, "I definitely won't have a contract signed before Hungary." The firmness of this statement intrigued Rosberg. Something is at stake, he commented, suggesting that the team was already plotting the British driver's future. It was from this scene in the Spa video that Rosberg recalled his own memories at Mercedes. Tense renegotiations, prolonged silences, and a direct sense of psychological pressure. He recalled his time at the team between 2010 and 2016 and shared that this invisible negotiation tactic was already being used by Wolff back then. It's horrible negotiating with Toto because his tactic is to disappear. According to Rosberg, the Mercedes boss avoids responding, disappears from conversations via text messages, or is late for important meetings, and even manipulates WhatsApp read receipts. He reads partially the message without opening it completely, leaving the other person without any response. This deliberate absence creates insecurity, anxiety, and a sense of psychological urgency in the driver, who is left without the resources to pressure or negotiate clearly. Now, in 2025, Rosberg's statement takes on even more weight. With George Russell's contract expiring at the end of the season, and talks with Mercedes about a renewal still unresolved, speculation is mounting about whether this could be linked to potential plans involving Max Verstappen, who, although under contract with Red Bull until 2028, would not be able to leave in the future due to specific clauses in his contract. Rosberg even made it clear that the comment about Russell and his contract is not based on privileged inside information, but rather on his personal experience with Wolff's style. "That's just an assumption. I'm basing it on what I've experienced." Even so, the parallel he draws with the German boss's current behavior is direct and frightening. Disappearing, not responding, being difficult to reach. And it's horrible because you're standing there thinking, "Let's go," but you have no chance. Why did Rosberg decide to say this now, almost a decade after leaving Formula One? The main reason, a warning to current Mercedes drivers, especially George Russell and rookie Kimi Antonelli. Rosberg wants them to know that, behind the institutional cordiality, there's a tough, emotionally taxing negotiation strategy that could be crucial to their future careers. He uses his authority as world champion to issue this warning, a benchmark for new drivers to avoid becoming pawns in a decision-making game that goes far beyond the track. Nico Rosberg was categorical when describing the technique used by Toto Wolff in contract negotiations with drivers. Toto is horrible to negotiate with because his tactic is to disappear. He reported that during conversations with his team, including the current George Russell case, the Mercedes boss simply disappears mid-process. Unanswered messages, postponed meetings, absolute silence. All of this is part of a calculated strategy to leave the driver in a state of emotional uncertainty. Rosberg recalled that George Russell firmly stated that he did not expect his new contract to be signed before the Hungarian GP. "I definitely won't have a contract by then." He found this statement strangely definitive, especially with only a few rounds remaining in the season, and used it as a clue to suggest that something might already be cooking behind the scenes. What Rosberg highlights is that Wolff repeats patterns from his time as a Mercedes driver, 2010 to 2016, avoiding direct contact, being difficult to reach, and sometimes even using tricks on WhatsApp, like reading part of the message without opening it completely, avoiding the blue ticks. This impression of drastic absence and psychological planning manipulates the driver's perception of his own value and urgency in the negotiation. Rosberg makes it clear that his statement is not based on current internal information, but rather on practical experience that he had. That's not a fact. That's just me making it up/I remember that, in my time. That was the style. Disappearing, not responding, being hard to reach, and it's horrible, because you're just there, come on. But you don't have a chance. Before I continue, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that the YouTube algorithm recommends this video, and let's go. His observation was informed by his role as a commentator on Sky Sports F1, where he analyzed Russell's stance after the Belgian GP at Spa-Francorchamps, the moment when the Briton declared he didn't expect a final decision until Hungary. The contrast between this public statement and Wolff's silent stance in internal negotiations led Rosberg to draw direct parallels with the methods used with other drivers in the past. The psychological trap of this tactic begins with uncertainty. The driver feels unable to apply pressure, renegotiate, or obtain clarity, and ends up trapped in institutional silence. Rosberg describes how this communication vacuum generates anxiety, insecurity, and frustration, perfect ingredients for an uneven negotiation. The biggest danger, he says, is that the pilot doesn't know who to count on, whether it's worth going ahead or giving up, and all of this happens without outside perceptions or the media being involved. The feeling, summed up in his own words, is, "You don't have a chance." It is interesting to contrast this with the public stance of Toto Wolff, who claims to follow a policy of transparency. He emphasizes that he considers Russell as his first option and maintains open conversations about the future of the formation without mentioning official discards. In other words, he suggests a firm pace, even increasing market speculation with mentions of Max Verstappen, without necessarily ruling out Russell completely. In practice, Russell deals with this tough and uncertain scenario while shining on the track, achieving consistent results and maintaining fourth place in the 2025 championship with 157 points, according to recent data. Wolff, in turn, praises the Briton's maturity and composure, stating that he can sleep peacefully during the negotiation period, and that his behavior on the track has not been affected by the contractual suspension. Even so, this isn't about fragility. It's about an environment in which the driver needs to be mentally robust. Analysts and experts, such as Martin Brundle, suggest that Russell may be warning the press precisely to avoid this internal pressure. He wants to confirm that he's aware of the rumors involving Verstappen and demonstrate that he's not being caught off guard. Brundle also notes that amid speculation about Max Verstappen's possible arrival at Mercedes, Russell may feel like a placeholder, waiting for a replacement, which generates latent anxiety and even affects confidence and focus in racing. Some reports even suggest a divergence in contractual approach. Russell is seeking a 3-year deal with a considerable increase, while Mercedes is reportedly offering only a 1-year extension, a sign of strategic hesitation from the team. Toto Wolff, for his part, tries to balance the narrative. Speaking to outlets like Sky Sports, he stated that there is no delay in Russell's negotiations, that the deadlines have been clear for a long time, and that the two have known each other for years, emphasizing that there is no such delay. Furthermore, Wolff reinforces that Russell is more likely to stay than Verstappen is to arrive, emphasizing his position as a priority in the 2026 lineup. During the British Grand Prix, Russell made it clear to the press that the likelihood of him not staying with Mercedes the following year is exceptionally low. He added, "I'm loyal to Mercedes, so ultimately everything will work itself out. I don't even think about that now. What happens behind the scenes stays behind the scenes." Still, he admitted that it helps to have the pen on paper, suggesting that the lack of a firm contract could be uncomfortable, especially amid the speculation surrounding Verstappen. Not all reports agree. One source suggested that Russell had rejected a proposed 1-year extension until the end of 2026, possibly because he considered the terms insufficient or too strategic given the situation with Verstappen advancing in negotiations. Meanwhile, other sources indicate that he is close to signing a deal worth around £30 million per year, but there will be no formal definitions until after the European summer. Despite this, the priorities remain clear: Wolff has publicly emphasized his desire to keep Russell and Antonelli together for the 2026 season, ruling out an immediate solution with Verstappen, and signaling that this team-up is the team's #1 priority at the moment. And these aren't just statements. Despite the speculation, Mercedes has made it clear that it considers Russell central to its plans, and that negotiations with Verstappen shouldn't impede the Brit's extension. But tell me, what did you think of this video? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your opinion, and be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing.